Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage of Survivor 43. We have the actual merge, not the fake out merge last week. All those shenanigans. We have the real merge. We have a lot of messy, terrible gameplay to talk about. I don't know how you felt about that, Beth, but I thought we were done with the bad gameplay after Ellie left last week, but it's still going. And
this was a master class on how to not play the game tonight.
Mhm.
Which at the same time, I hope production is learning that this isn't actually making for exciting gameplay. It's you're throwing too much now into the
Okay,
pot.
all right. So are you like coming to the dark side now? Is that how you're
What
feeling?
what just flew by your head? By the way, was that a bird?
It's like a little ducky thing. Sora is going back and Can you hear that in the background now?
No, I can. But I thought you legit had like a parrot in your room that just like flew past and you just didn't say anything about it. And I was like,
Yeah, I got a pet parrot. I'm trying to teach him how to like. Actually, the first phrase that the parrot has learned is "dig, woman, dig."
dig, woman, dig,
I love it. I love it. So once Jeff is ready to retire, like the parrot will be ready to take
oh,
over.
goodness.
He's just gonna ask at every single tribal council. So how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10? About how safe you feel tonight?
I can't. Time out. I have to find this. Even Fishback tweeted my favorite tweet about Jeff Probst tonight, and I have to find it because he's at Know It All Lives. And so, if anybody is watching this
Oh,
after
that's
the
right. I
fact,
forgot that was like a thing going on tonight. That's right.
yeah, in DC. So, if you are watching this after the fact, because right now you're currently in DC at RHAP's Know It All Lives, welcome. Hope you had a great time. I gotta find this. It was the best thing. Um, the best parts of Survivor are still Jeff Alien's attempts to understand human emotion. Quote, so you're playing a strategy game and you also are able to show kindness. Elaborate.
Right. It's very strange.
This
I'm telling you,
episode,
Beth, he is like unhinged. Like he is getting like
he fully got
senile.
in the way of the challenge today. Did you see that team just
Oh,
barrel into it?
Tim pointed that out. He like barreled into Owen. I'm like, is he trying to like sabotage the challenge here? Like, is he like about to like step
No,
out his foot to like trip?
I pointed this out a couple weeks ago. Remember, he just is not paying attention to everything that's going on, and because he's like,
Get whacked.
wow. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's a whole thing. I gotta be honest, I really didn't like this episode tonight. I felt like there's a severe lack of gameplay. We this cast is getting just kind of blah. Like there's nothing exciting happening. They're not doing exciting things where there's like a false sense of editing to make us seem like things are exciting because of advantages. Like, ooh, now they swapped all the advantages. And if anything, I mean, as much as I hate that Janine got weakened at the end of this today, Dwight walked off with her idol. She doesn't have an idol anymore. So, I mean, that's not smart gameplay. It doesn't make for exciting things. I don't like that. Yeah, I know there's only 2 white men in the cast, but like you have what? Not too many women left. In the 3 names up for discussion tonight were all 3 of the black men. Like it's still like, what is not reading here? It's just I want some drama. I want a villain. I need someone who's like a Sandra to come in and like I feel like Carla could tap into that. Like she's got the social acuity to do so, like to be able to throw some coals into the fire, let it burn a little bit, watch it from afar. And we're not getting anything like that socially or strategically in this game. And it's honestly, I feel like they're losing steam with how exciting the season is.
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned like Carla and the whole like Sandra thing. So I called last week that like once the merge hits, I said that Carla and Jesse should team up because that would be a deadly duo in this game.
Totally.
So I was so happy to see that like tonight we spent a little bit of time from Jesse's perspective, not Carla's. Jesse's saying like we have like such a similar like background, we have like similar like life experiences and stuff like that. And I feel like it's making both of them have such a level head through all of this shit. Like so like in contrast, right? So Janine starts the episode tonight. Sorry, the parrot just flew by again.
I was like, wow, the parrot.
So Janine starts the episode tonight, like reeling from this blindside, Ellie going home. Noel's like reassuring her, and in confessional, Janine's like, now that this happened, like it really woke me up to like play this game a lot smarter, like a lot like stealthier, and just like being more like strategically sound in this game. And then fast forward to her giving Dwight the idol, and I said it in our chat. I was like, I guarantee you, like this, all this is just a red herring. They're going to get rid of Dwight, and then Janine is going to be stuck without an idol. And I think like her like having her hand like on his knee was her like trying to be like, give me the idol before
it was. And here's the thing. I'm in a couple of different Survivor chats, and everybody agrees that it's a rule. Once the votes start getting read, you can't pass around advantages and idols. So she couldn't have gotten it back even if she wanted to in that moment once they started reading. It would have been smarter for Dwight to just pass it back to her if they weren't going to play it before the votes get read.
Right.
Because you know what I mean? But
right.
It's hard, I just felt like everybody overreacted with the knowledge is power. Because first of all, we outlined last week that everybody knows a little bit, but not everything as to where all the advantages are. So if you're somebody that James knows you have something, like Cody knew that James knew he had something, like that's different. I don't think James knew that. I think James knew about Janine. Everybody knows about Janine's idol. Gabler would have told everybody anyway. So I think that there's just a certain level of that you got to sit back and go, okay, if I know this person has an advantage, I need to be working with them here so that they're less inclined to steal my thing and make sure that we're putting the target elsewhere. And to kind of go back to one of your points here, Tyler, we do with this vote, Jesse's on Carla's side now. So we've got Carla, Cassidy, Ryan, James, Cody, Jesse.
Yeah.
Right? Am I missing someone?
Like for like everybody left.
Yeah, who all voted that way.
Oh, okay. Who voted that way? Let me check.
So it was Cody, Jesse, Cassidy, Ryan, Jay, Carla. Yeah, so it was those 6, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And here's the thing, like you're saying, like all of these advantages are so like out in the open and everything like that. The one person who still has like a little something that hasn't told anybody is Carla, and I really think that Carla like holding on to this idol. And do you think that she's going to tell Jesse about it?
I don't know. Did she? I think she told James about it, didn't she, or no?
I don't. Oh, maybe somebody in the chat can confirm.
If you can remember. Speaking of chat, we should actually probably say hello to the people who are in the chat. So, no. What happens is you and I get together. We purely talk about strategy, and we get nerding out, and then we forget that we're podcast hosts who are here to engage with our audience.
So we have Henning and Joseph Boza and Thomas Cook, and let's see, anybody else.
I think it's the 3 of them. So thank you so much all for joining us tonight. I've been reading some of the comments. We have some agreement. We have some disagreement about tonight's episode. Everything's valid. I don't know. I look at this, like, I just look at this cast, and it's so weird to me that, like, I can understand James being a target after he finds the advantage. I don't understand James going around and telling everybody which advantage it is.
Right. That was very confusing to me. Like, he tells Cody about it.
Yeah, like, when are you working with Cody? Like, that made no sense. But I'll be honest, it worked out for him because that was enough of a push for Jesse and Cody to flip over to them. So I guess it worked. He knew exactly what to do there. Like, Ryan comes across as absolutely fucking clueless when it comes to any kind of social cues or gameplay within the game of Survivor. Janine has just no power or authority. Owen is doing a great job, but he's just on the wrong side of everything, of all the votes and such. So I guess you can't really say he's doing a great job. Sammy's the same way. Gabler's like coming out of nowhere to be a fucking physical force after he was so weak for so long, like literally physically weak. Noelle's overplaying. It's just there's Cassidy's invisible. She's just kind of a follower again.
Very invisible tonight. Like that. Like I was saying last, like maybe like she's getting like an under the radar like Erica winner type of vibe, but like tonight's like merge episode, like that is when like you should start to like emerge as like a main character to be looking out for. But Cassidy was so damn invisible, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's Gabler is on a time limit because I don't think he'll go anytime soon. I think he gets to like a final 6. And then I think that they got to cut him because he's going to be a wild card. You don't know what he's going to do at final 4. You don't know what he's going to do at, final 5 or whatever. Right. So I could see that him making it farther, but people will try to use him for a vote moving forward. Like this new majority, they're not going to go after Gabler when they could go after Sammy or Owen or Noelle, or they could. So he's safe in that regard. I could see him flip right over to them. He'll be somebody that people can use for a vote, but nobody's going to listen to him. So
God,
actually, Gabler could go to the final 3 now that I'm thinking about it.
He could, but like if I were playing this game and I was in that majority alliance, like Gabler would be my number 1 target with a bullet for a number of reasons here. Like the first being he was in a majority alliance and was willing to blow it the hell up because like things weren't going his way.
Yep.
Second of all, he's proved to himself, or he's proved to everybody that he can win a very physical challenge, mind you, against the most competition, against like freaking like Ryan, for God's sake. Like he beat out like
Cody.
And Cody and Sammy, Owen, like all of these, like we have so many like strong men left. So it's like so impressive that Gabler won this tonight. But also like just his like storytelling, like while he was holding on to the bar thingy, was so impressive. And I feel like that would scare me in a like, God, he could deliver like a really powerful final tribal speech. I also think that he could probably win a fire making challenge too if he was in there at final 4. So for all of the above reasons, get Gabler out of here. Like he has to go next, Beth. He has.
Oh no, I'm with you, but I'm saying I don't think that this group votes like that, and they should be, but none of them. I don't think this group has a handle of how you play new Survivor. Or Survivor in general. I'm just very unimpressed with the vast majority of the players this season. Even someone like Carla or Jesse, Sammy, these people who we are saying are really good strategists, like if you put them on a season where it was, you had like, if you put them like in a Game Changers where you had so many of like, or Second Chances, not Game Changers, Cambodia or something. I think that would be really interesting, but it's like watching a whole bunch of 12th graders play with 7th graders.
Yeah, I agree. And it feels like fear is like the main motivator behind their decision making rather than like, oh, this is a good move. This is going to like, I didn't hear like, besides Jesse, like teaming up with Carla, I didn't hear anybody say this move is setting me up for the future. This move is like really going to help me like make it to the final. And here's why. Like, and the knowledge is power advantage is really not that strong. Or
also, why? Like, okay, don't get me wrong. I was happy another woman didn't go tonight. But why are you not going for Noelle, who is going to move her idol elsewhere so that she doesn't get it stolen? Yeah. Why are you weakening her by voting out Dwight? That makes no sense. Just go for her because she's going to move her idol. Just vote her out. It made no sense. It's just, again, why go for Dwight? I don't understand Dwight. I understand
Ryan. Like even if like you're like afraid of like the knowledge is power advantage, like whatever, right? Ryan is still right there. And I don't think anybody would like really go out of their way to save Ryan. Even James, I don't think would do that. He is like a very classic like Joe Anglim type of merge boot. just make it easy, make it simple, and make sure that like if you are in the red and yellow tribes, like make sure you are still holding on to that majority. And it was kind of surprising to me to see Jesse be willing to give up that majority, like be willing to say like, all right, well, I'm gonna give up like Dwight here. Like when like they were first talking about like Cody, right? Or was it Noel? It was Noel that was the first target, right?
Noelle was the first target, and then they
Yeah.
moved it to Dwight to weaken her. And that was
Right.
Jesse and Cody deciding to weaken Noelle because they were seeing how well she was managing to get votes for what she wanted to do, which was to get James out because of the advantage.
Right.
I understand
Like,
Noelle going, I know this person has an advantage. Let's get them out. But guess what, Noelle?
why Noel? Like I don't understand why like Cody and Jesse like when they're talking about like should it be Noel? First of all, I don't understand like why when like Owen's right there, Janine's right there. Like if you're not gonna go for the blue tribe, like go for somebody in yellow. But like when Cody says, not Noel next, let's look at Dwight. I don't understand why like your pecking order, the first two people are two people that are with you and are so like strong with you. Like that red tribe had the potential to really like Marianne and Jonathan and Lindsay this to the end of this game. You know, the yellow tribe, like their loyalty between those four is so freaking fractured because of last week and Gabler and Janine and like all of that stuff. Blue Tribe certainly has their secrets with Carla's idol, and then like everybody wants to target Ryan because he's strong, and Cassidy's just like whatever. Like the Red Tribe like could have easily like sailed into the sunset if they just held on to it.
It's just,
and I don't think there's like enough like complications within that four to even justify like any fractures, right? Like especially at this stage.
you're absolutely right. Everybody is making paranoid, quick decisions. And I wonder if a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're dealing with a game that is inherently faster than what we're used to seeing. It used to be every 3 days you'd go to tribal. Now it's like basically every 1 or 2. So you don't have the time to marinate in a plan a little bit. You don't have that sense of, okay, we could still figure this out. So people make half-assed decisions quickly, and it just doesn't make any sense. Yellow goes after each other. Now red is going after each other. Carla and Jay were famous in their tribe for flipping on the person who was acting paranoid, who was with them, and that's the thing. Like this, I don't know if it's a product of the new game. I don't know what it is, but people are not playing strong strategic games. They're playing paranoid games. They're allowing fear to get the best of them, which is valid. Let's not pretend like that's just like, how dare they be paranoid? That's the whole point of the game. But I think it's, if we saw somebody who was taking advantage of that and stirring the pot, if we were seeing somebody act strategically in this way, it would be so much more interesting. But right now, it just seems like we have a whole bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off.
So let me float out like a possible answer for like why like so I guess the question is like, is it nature or nurture? Is it just like the nature of like the people that they cast this season are just like very paranoid, or is it nurture? Is it something that's like within the game that's causing this? And I think it's the second one. I think it is that. And like I've said so many times, like too many advantages and hard to keep like I'm not gonna be a broken record this week. Don't worry. But I think it is a big problem that the advantages that are had in this game are so like publicly known from everybody. And we've seen for 3 seasons now that it's kind of hindering like the fluidity of the gameplay. Like the first 2 seasons with the whole like the goat on AstroTurf of it all, right?
Yep.
That caused like everybody to know. And now it's like the
beads. Everybody knows who has the beads, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And no, I totally agree. And that's why I'm saying that if this is a product of the new Survivor, then we cannot compare it to what our thoughts are of Survivor before. It's inherently a different game, right? But, and I will say this, if you'll go back a few weeks ago, I said I'm fine with the number of advantages and stuff of this game. I like the fact that some of these things are public because it challenges different gameplay, which we're seeing. What I didn't want was any more fucking idols or advantages in the merge. And what do we have? More stuff being added to the pot. So it's production needs to stop and trust the the formula of the show. Because if you want to change the show up, you got to keep some of the elements that were always great. And the elements that were always great were merging into a new tribe where everybody comes into an individual game and you don't know everything that's going around. It would be great if they made everything like you had all these advantages and such, and then they go dead at the merge and you start over.
That's
Or
kind of like I was thinking. Actually, I was thinking about that, Beth. Like when they like read the advantage and said like or no, when they read like the merge like parchment and it said like the like team idols are no more and it's an individual game. I misheard for a second and I
I thought
thought
they were
that
talking about
meant
the
like all power, like lights off on like
Yep.
every idol or advantage. I love that, and I would love it even more if they are told that at like the very beginning of the game, like right on the mat. Jeff says any advantages that you guys find in the pre-merge, they stay in the pre-merge, and the merge is like a totally separate, unique game and like getting advantages and stuff like that. I don't know,
would
like
be fine with that, except for I would love one exception, like one incredible beware advantage that you can find that you can keep it. It only activates after the merge, maybe, but you can't vote until the merge. Like there's no way to get your vote. Something
yeah,
like that would be interesting to me. Where it's like, hey, if you find a hidden immunity idol, if you find an advantage, it's only good to the merge. But just be aware, like he doesn't say anything, and then you go and you find the beware advantage, and it's contrary to that. Actually, this one
yeah,
begins at the merge, but you can't vote until then.
yeah. I
But
like
I
it.
would like for it to expressly say that they don't have to open it up like they normally do to figure out what it is. I would like for it to be a warning and say you will not have a vote until merge, but you will get it's like an idol
You'll
and
be
an
rewarded
advantage or something.
handsomely
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
like you get like an immunity idol that's good until final 5. In addition, you will also get some kind of advantage.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? But I would like for it to be right on the outside. You get these things, but you don't have a vote until the merge. If you don't want it, do not take this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, leave it be. You can't hide it elsewhere. It has to stay here.
Yeah.
Because imagine what that gameplay then turns into if you're trying to create a tribal unity over an advantage or something, right? You
Mhm.
have to maybe tell somebody who's willing to grab that and then you know where it is. Or you just got to keep checking on it to see if somebody else grabbed it, in which case you would then have to do the numbers game to realize nobody told me they had it. And I
Yeah.
knew somebody, like I just think that there's some things there that could be really interesting that are in line with what they're doing, but maybe wouldn't break the game so much from a strategic and social stand. Because what we're like you're saying, what we're seeing now is like a stalling in gameplay.
Yes.
And I saw Henning say this earlier in the chat, and I agree to a certain extent. He said that the early merge is always a little dry. It depends on the season, because some of the early merges were some of the most exciting parts of some of these seasons, and then they fizzled out. And I would argue that even as like Winners at War had one of the most like incredible early merge seasons, and then it fizzled out at the end.
Yeah.
And that had all the
Oh,
bells and
had a
whistles, as
really
I
good
should.
episode, or like first merge episode, Kagion, and that season also started out with 3 tribes, with like a pretty even tribes. I know the brains were like down like 1 or 2, but it and there was like none of these like advantages and stuff like that. Like I think like Tony probably had like 1 idol at that point,
Mhm.
but that was pretty much it, I think.
David versus Goliath also is one of the best early merges like of all
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
But
I
it's
also think that like the I don't like or the knowledge is power twist, like that's the second time they've like tried to make this a thing this season, and like I'm
which one?
already
Sorry.
the knowledge is power. Didn't
Oh yeah,
somebody else have it as well and they were
it's
voted
been
out
around for a few seasons.
over it? I don't like it.
I think. Well, it would work if people fucking stop telling other people that they have that advantage.
Yeah. But I mean like
Why? It
what
makes
if that is like
no
the
sense.
So what if they are like, I'm like reading into the edit way too much now. What if they are like really harping on how that is like so many people's like detriment this season, to kind of like foreshadow that like Carla, the one who like withheld telling anybody about the idol, ends up being the winner because of that. Like
Hello,
in this,
that's what exactly happened in 42 with Marianne. She was the only
right.
one who kept her damn mouth shut, and guess what? She won the game because of it. It's
Hmm.
This is what is so incredibly insane to me. Is like I would not want a public advantage or idol to the point where like I would want to know who has it and be teamed up with them. But I don't want that one. I want the beware advantage. I want something that people don't know what I'm doing.
I think it's okay to get an advantage publicly, but I think if you do receive it publicly, then you just use it at that tribal. Like make it be known, like I will be using this, and you guys can kind of like figure out your gameplay around like how I'll probably use it,
Yeah.
or let me like let me be like a vote for sale or an advantage for sale. Like come to me with your best offer, and
I
we'll figure.
also, we're saying this about Carla being so secretive, but let's be honest, anybody could figure out that she made a beat thing and anybody would know that she has the idol. And I'm sure that it just hasn't been on the screen, but I'm sure that's been a part of the conversation. Noelle figured it out really easy with like, oh yeah, the first tribal, so and so made it with, or not Janine, sorry, Ellie figured it out with Cody made a hat and he did this thing. It would have been very easy for someone to go, oh, anybody do anything fun with beads? Like we were doing all these fun things. Like I would have easily like figured that out and
Yeah,
then been like, got you. Like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I don't think we should give her full credit at this point because there's always a possibility that other people know that she has an idol.
Oh, for sure,
Um,
for sure. I'm just like
but
I'm
yeah,
trying to grasp at straws in terms of like somebody that I'm like actively rooting for at this point.
yeah,
Because like this editing this season is very even. And it's frustrating me because like I don't have like somebody that I feel like has like proven to me yet that like they deserve the win, or somebody that has like outright like proven to me that they have lost the game. They're going to final tribal
Ryan. I'm
like the
sorry. Ryan, I don't think has any winner's equity right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I
I
mean,
don't think anybody respects his social game. I mean, look at the way he was talking to Jay after, like, he was like pulling Jay off the challenge and then blamed him for
I
for
guess that just
dropping. And I'm like, dude, you have no sense of other people right now. And that's going to be like, no one is going to vote for him at the end. Like,
well, I
nobody.
kind of
They
forget
don't.
that he like Ryan specifically. I feel like I just like forget that he exists because he's just like a non-entity in terms of like strategic like movement or anything
And
this season.
every time they show him, it's like clown music in the background. Like that's what
Yeah,
I mean. Like by editing, like if he ends up winning, that's the biggest red herring edit I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I swear, every time they see him, it's like that doom, 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 and they're like, I really think that this is what we're gonna have to do. Doom, doom,
yeah.
doom, doom, kind of like music in the background. But
Henning says, "I honestly don't see a blue player winning this season." Let's
I
let's
can
talk about that. So, like, we've talked to
I
like
can see
Carla
Jay
a
or
lot.
Carla.
Something is like not clicking with me with Jay. I don't know like what it is, and I had him like in my draft team. Like I was very like high on him preseason in terms of like I loved what he said about like being like a master at chess is not about the big move; it's about like the timing of the move and catching them off guard. I'm just kind of waiting. Like I would love to see some more confessionals of Jay talking about strategy. I think is what I'm missing.
I think that he proved exactly what you're saying tonight by not playing the knowledge is power. He got everybody to scramble and he got Cody and Jesse to flip to his side after
That's true, and I
doing
guess, like,
that.
Cody, like, still scared, you know what I mean? Like, it kinda makes Cody like, have to fold to Jay a little bit and for a little bit longer too. Like, maybe,
Mhm.
like, leading him into, like, a false sense of security so that, like,
Yeah.
maybe, like, the timing will be there that, like, when Cody, like, doesn't even, like it's like not even on his radar because like Jay has like been building this bond with me. Like I would like play the idol for him. Like I don't know, it's just something like that. But yeah, I
Joseph
don't know.
says he used his advantage, but really didn't have to give Noelle the finger. When he gave Noelle the finger?
Wait, who? Who gave Noelle the finger?
I don't know if that happened. Like, what? Who and what? I didn't
I
see that at all.
Give us more context.
Yeah, or are you talking figuratively gave her the finger? I don't know what you're talking about there, but give us more context there. I think Jay has proven that he has much more of a level head than someone like Ryan, than someone like I think that he and Sammy have a similar level of like when you're under stress being like, dude, we're just gonna have to do this and that's it, and there's a sense of realistic using stress in a positive way. I could see him, like Henning is saying in the chat, potentially getting too overconfident. But if you're on the right side of the numbers for the next vote, which it looks like you might be, I think that he's smart enough, like you're saying, as a chess champion to know, okay, just because I won one move, I got a good piece doesn't mean I won the game.
I mean, if I were Jay, I would like. Sorry to cut you off. If I were Jay, I would be targeting like Noelle or Jesse.
That's
next
exactly what I was going to say. Versus someone like Noelle, who was all or nothing. I could see her being. This could be a debilitating blow to her game, and I think we could see Noelle go next week.
Totally. I think like the blue and yellow should really link up now and say, let's just like pick off the rest of the red tribe. And Jay like should say like, let's keep Cody for last because like we're all scared of his idol. And then like at that last, like when Cody's like so say they take out Noelle and then Jesse, which I don't think Carlo would let that happen at this point. But so say Noelle goes and then Jesse goes and then it's Cody next. Everybody's like, oh, but what's the backup plan? Because Cody's gonna like play his idol. That's when Jay uses his knowledge, his power advantage, takes Cody's idol and
I don't see that happening in that way because Yellow is so messed up that Gabler is gonna go. Janine might go. Owen might go. Owen has not been in anybody's majority alliance so far. He has not proven loyalty with anybody. They think he's a socially good player. Like, I think that Cody and Jesse have now proven themselves to Blue. I don't think they're going to go after them unless something happens where they are forced to. I think Noelle could get votes next week. If she doesn't go, it's because she plays her idol and she's safe. And then, I see them splitting the vote and maybe Gabler goes if he doesn't have immunity or something like that. The yellow team is so defunct that it's like they're going to actually force votes onto them rather than because they cannot stay strong. As long as Gabler's in that game, that yellow team's never going to work together.
What about Sammy? Like, do you see any like winner's equity for Sammy? Because I kind of could see him being the winner of the season.
Oh yes, Henning says Noelle doesn't have the idol; she has to steal a vote.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think that she has the ability to stay in the game next week with where the votes are if she's stealing a vote or whatever, or she could be the next one gone. I think Sammy is playing one of the best games, and it's because how is he not on people's tongues right now? He's clearly a good social player. He's clearly like he's physically capable. He's gets along with everybody on the yellow tribe, which that should be, he's the glue of the yellow tribe, which that should be, if you really want to break them up, why aren't you going for him? Mm-hmm. He's getting along well with the Jessies and Codys of the world. He's getting along he gets along well with Noelle. He should be somebody that you're going, oh, I need to go after him, but he's on nobody's lips that we're seeing. And that to me is tells you how good. I absolutely think Sammy goes to the end. My gut tells me he goes all the way to final
You
three.
bring up a really good point about Sammy being the glue of the yellow tribe, because I just imagine a world where like Sammy gets blindsided next week somehow, right? I feel like Owen, Janine, and Gabler, they are so like just like scattering, like there's no way like they come back together, and I feel like those three will be like such like valuable pieces for like people to want to pick up. I just like those three in particular would really really scramble without Sammy, so I think that's a really
Yeah.
good point.
I think Owen is next week is pivotal for him. He needs to walk away from Baca and he needs to make bonds with like Cody and Jesse or Carla and Jay. Somebody like that to prove loyalty in some capacity. Janine has kind of had this in with Cassidy and Noelle. So she's kind of good. Like she's in the best position out of the Owen, Janine, Mike situation. Gabler, nobody trusts him, including his own tribe. He's a loose cannon. He's clearly very physical. All the things that you said before. I think I see a very tough road for him to go to the end unless people just kind of write him off, which I do think this cast does to people. I think they're writing people off left and right. And I think that he's one of them. So I honestly think like if people were smart, Sammy would be the next person to go. But I don't think that they're thinking that way. So.
Do you think Carla and Jesse could get people thinking that way about Sammy? Like I haven't really seen like either of them really have like too much of a bond with Sammy. So like maybe that could be like their first like big move together, right? Is like taking out Sammy.
Well, and here's the thing. We don't know how close Carla and Jesse are actually working together. Right. We know that Carla's number one is still Jay, and she's protective of Cassidy. I don't think she gives too much about Ryan other than the fact that he's a voting number for them right now. Jesse and Cody are clearly a twosome, obviously. And I think that they are going to be closer with Jay. I think Jesse and Carla had like this, like you said, a throwaway line of them working together. It'd be great to see if that continues to grow. But at this point, I don't see Carla and Jesse coming together and being like, all right, now that we voted together one time, let's be this duo. I mean, they would have to get Jay out for Carla to move to that role with Jesse, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think next week, strategically, Sammy would be the person I would go for next if I were on blue or red. If I were on yellow, strategically, I'd want to get rid of either Jesse or Cody or Jay or Carla. Split up one of those two duos. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle for them and Noelle.
And not only that, but like Sammy is just like a big threat in like these competitions too. So like even if they're like missing the whole like he's like the glue holding them together thing, like there's just so much like competition for these comp wins at this point. Now that you're at the merge, like you need to start thinking about that. And I feel like there's too many guys to have like a Jeremy keeping Joe around meat shield strategy in Cambodia. You know what I mean? Like there's too many cooks in the kitchen this merge right now for to have that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what would be interesting, and I don't know if it'll happen this way. I mean, we could have just gotten this was the voting block, using the term from Cambodia for this week. But if it does remain the same, where the lines are Cody, Jesse, Cassidy, Ryan, Jay, and Carla versus Owen, Janine, Sammy, Mike, and Noelle could use that steal a vote, and all of a sudden they're in the majority next week, and somebody else is going home. So next week has the potential, I think, to be a really interesting strategic episode. This episode for me was a dud. Half of it was like needless emotional content. I tweeted this out. I am not somebody who is an amputee or disabled in this way. So I don't feel like I can properly publicly comment. So I will just say I'm curious what amputees think of the editing of Noelle and the accessibility of a challenge like this, and then focusing on the emotions of that afterwards in the middle of the challenge. Did you feel like that was abusive?
Yeah, I mean,
or not?
I,
Like,
it's
I
so
again,
like it's been like a branding thing this whole season, right?
yeah,
Like any chance that they've gotten, and it's not even Jeff, it's really like the cameraman and the editors that
it's the
are like,
editor. They're
and
like,
anytime
"Here's your
like
leg."
Noelle, right? Like, and they really show it off. Like there was like one shot tonight, Beth, where like her freaking leg was like sitting in the mud, and Jeff is like the camera's like on the ground with like the leg like taking up like half the camera here, and then Jeff is like out of focus like right
Yeah.
here behind, and I'm like, come on. Like
No, the
I
other
get
thing is
it, like, but
the other
I
thing was
it's just
later they were at camp. There was no reason. And they just focused a shot on the leg while other people were talking about strategy. And it's just, it to me,
it's giving
I,
tokenism.
it's giving tokenism so hard. It's giving like it's similar to the whole Jackson situation last year to a certain extent where we felt like it was kind of gross. It just felt like we were, oh, here's a trans person. Unfortunately, we're going to have to remove them from the game before it really gets going. But let's make sure we get
Oh
2 days
yeah.
of getting backstory. Like
Oh
it's
god.
giving that kind of energy. Now, I'm not I do think it's good to have that representation. I do think it's important to show those shots like where Noelle is like, you know, jumping on one leg through, like a obstacle course or whatever. Like I think that's incredible. I think that showing that in the moment and what she's doing to compensate and to overcome, I think that's amazing. Keep that stuff in there. The needless shots, and also again, it just a challenge like tonight, if you're going to cast somebody who doesn't have a leg and has a prosthetic, and also I just found that first part of that challenge really gross. Like there's a lot of PTSD for people in getting caught up in nets and feeling stuck.
I was
Also,
getting really claustrophobic seeing that like the like both ends like spun together like
yes.
that.
So you had
Ugh.
that and the mud. So I'm sure that you're having a hard time breathing. And on top of that, it was absolutely a disadvantage if you had any kind of long hair. If you were a woman
Mm.
or Dwight who had the braids or anything like that, you were getting caught and you have Jeff just going, dig through it. Well, that's easy for you to say, fucking Jeff. You don't have fucking hair that's going to get caught in this. That inherently made it completely, and it's not like it just made it like unequal or and that kind of thing, which we see that all the time. These challenges are not meant to be equal, and we understand that they're meant for different strengths or different body types or different whatever, right? But this is one that's like actively causing harm to people if they had a certain type of hair. Like people were like, my hair is getting ripped out of my head, like this hurts, I'm getting stuck. The reason why they're not moving forward was more because they were in pain and not because they were like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get out
Yeah.
of the net.
Right. Like there's a difference between like having natural like advantages and disadvantages in challenges and stuff. Like that's totally fine. But if you just like simply can't do it because of something that you have, like I think that's pretty flawed challenge design, right? Like
Yeah.
if somebody like legit just like can't do it because they don't have a leg or something like that, it's just a little, and I understand that like, she's signing up for that, like
Mm-hmm.
she knows that like she could be in situations where this could be an issue for her, but there are certainly so many different types of other challenges that could still be as physically demanding. I will say this challenge tonight, I liked that it was more physical. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like so many merge competitions are just like balance or like endurance, like some kind of like pseudo like balance, endurance, like hanging on to something type of thing. So
We
I
had that
liked
at the
like,
end of it.
yeah, which God, I would do terrible in that. I was saying in the chat, like my grip strength is so bad. So like, ugh. Owen had a good strategy of like squatting though. I thought that was good. He should have held on to that longer. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, it's just like poor challenge design when like you just simply like literally cannot do it.
I just I think that hopefully they hear and they see what the flaws were with that. I think that we know that production makes huge mistakes with different kinds of challenges. Like I don't think we'll ever see the kind of digging that the people had to do in Co wrong, like when everybody fucking died and Cody had, or not Cody, Caleb had to leave the game. Like,
Yeah.
production makes poorly designed challenges all the time. What I guess I'm trying to get at is that I wish that we would see Survivor be a little bit more accessible for people. And
I
I
wonder if
think,
on the dream team, if they have like an amputee on
I
the dream team.
guarantee they
They
don't.
should.
They should. They should. They should have a whole bunch of different people, right? If you're designing challenges, if you're designing, twists and all that kind of stuff, it should always have accessibility as someone who
Almost like a
represents.
double for like you, like whoever you are in Survivor. Like the dream team should be your like double, like cast, like have somebody in the dream team that's like very physically similar to Tyler or to Beth or to Allison or like to Noelle, so that they can kind of be like watching out for like who like how does this, and I'm like, I know it's not 1-to-1, but like I guarantee you, like if there was an amputee person on that challenge, they would probably say this net thing is a little not good for me, and that
And
can
there've been a
easily
lot
be,
of nets like I saw somebody say like this, there's not been a challenge yet that didn't have a net component to it in some capacity. You have to climb up a net, you have to go through a net, you have to, whatever the case. So the net is not the big deal. The fact that it was twisted up in a mud pit, like, choose one of those things then. If it's simply you have to crawl through the mud underneath a net or something, that's fine. Whatever. If it's just that it's coiled up and you got to get untangled and such, I don't like that. I think that's a fear factor thing. I think that we saw the pain thing with people who have long hair. I think there's other elements of that tonight. But
and
having the combination
furthermore,
of the two, where you're getting mud all over your face and you can't breathe and you're stuck, like, I would have had a full-on panic attack, and that's not even a joke.
well, not only that, but like it doesn't make sense for like what the twist of this challenge was, which was you're working in pairs. Like that first leg was not in pairs, like you were just going one after the other. So
Right.
like they could have easily just like taken the net out of the mud and had like some kind of other thing that like required like partnership, like start like off with like a puzzle or something that requires a lot of like communicating back and forth or something.
Boy, if you had a puzzle, that would have been the last thing. That's the missing piece of the Survivor challenge, right? You had like agility, not agility. What's the word I'm looking for? Skill, like a skill-based thing with the walking ladder portion where like you have to bring the rungs with you. You had the endurance strength. If it had started off with a puzzle, then you would have had the mental portion of it as well. The fact of the matter
like
is,
blind, like matching one where like one person has like half of them, the other person has half, and they have to communicate like the matching ones together. That would have been like mental and rewarding teams that communicate better with each other.
Also, I'm not a fan of immunity challenges that are pairs until the very end and all of a sudden then you're individual. No, like if you're going to do a paired up thing, it should be two people win immunity then. It's called individual immunity. I don't want to have to rely on another person for it. I don't know. Maybe again, that's me being maybe a little old fashioned or something, but
I like that you're coming to the dark side a little bit with my
listen, I told you a few weeks ago.
I wanted to be a little more old school.
Yeah, no, I think it was Fishback. I'm trying to think of who it was. Somebody on RHAP in the past couple of weeks was talking about how like, what's the point of the challenges now? Like, this game used to be challenge driven and it was like a thing. If you won immunity, it meant something. It was like what the strategy was based around. It's not really what's based, like, it's based around advantages and other things in the game, which I think is fair and that's fine. But stop creating these elaborate challenges if there's not a good reward anymore. Like, nobody does anything exciting. There's not like, hey, we went to this local village and gave school supplies and learned about things. We went whale watching. We went and there's nothing like that anymore. There's nothing that's culturally enriching with the area around them because it's only in Fiji now. They're not traveling to different places. It used to be, let's bring a whole bunch of Americans from different areas of the country and different lives and put them not only in an island, but also let's give them and give the audience at home a little cultural lesson of some different place. Yeah, it wasn't the focus of the show, but that was an element of it. And there's nothing like that anymore. And it got me really thinking, where I was like, I kind of agree. I don't think I think that there was a lot of really good elements to these public advantages. I think that there's a lot of really great things with having a few different, wrenches in the plans, right? Where you can't really know how you're going to play until you know what the advantages are, until you know who's got certain things. That's a different game of chess. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is we get to the merge, and instead of just saying, okay, we were fine, let's let the soup, cool down now. It's too hot to eat. It's like, no, let's just keep adding ingredients to it. Like, no, it's cooked. Let it simmer at this point. It's too much, and it's taking away from strategic gameplay, social gameplay, and honestly, it's taking away from why is half the episode a challenge when it ultimately doesn't mean too much.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like one reason that they still do like harp on the challenges so much, I think like Jeff has said multiple times in interviews that like families and particularly kids that watch the show really love like the challenge part of Survivor is like their
Sure.
favorite part of it. So that could be why. But yeah, I agree. Like you're playing less, like you're basically just playing for safety instead of like a bigger stake in the season with that win. Like imagine like how much like Gabler's win tonight was so powerful, and
It was
imagine how
incredible.
much more powerful it was if like it was like, oh yeah, but like Cody's also safe and Carla's also safe and Janine's also safe and Noel's like has a steal vote and like what's his face James has like a knowledge is power. It's just like so many like different things that overshadow just I don't know, one of the most like pivotal things in Survivor, which is the challenge win. I agree. But yeah, all right, let me update our drafts here. Should I do our patron draft or our draft first?
Yeah, let's do the patron draft first.
All right, cool. So
Damn,
Stefan.
Liza.
I know, right? Look at that.
Look at that.
So Liza's doing good. Stefan lost his third person tonight, so he's down to 3, and Henning also has 3 left. So Liza, she is killing it.
I really like Liza's team.
Yeah.
I think that literally from left to right, that's the order in which I think is like best to worst for her team right now.
I would agree with that.
I think Henning has a really solid 3. I think I could see Gabler going far. I could see him getting voted out. But he's got the 3 Baka men. So it's interesting. At any moment, their games could implode. But I also could see any one of those 3 making it far in the game. So
real quick, do you think Owen has any chance to win this game?
I think he's got a slight chance. I think that he has to make a pretty big move this coming week, and he's got to orchestrate it and then kind of fade a little bit back into the background again. If he doesn't do that, I don't think anybody's ever going to take him seriously. I think he's going to be like a Chanel, not Chanel. She was a merge boo. I think she's going to be like a Shan vote out, like that number, like 7 or something like that. I don't think he's high on anybody's radar, but I don't think he's completely hiding from anybody. I don't see him going too out of those 3. I actually think that he won't go as far as Gabler or Sammy.
I agree. And then Stefan, I think, only has Cody to kind of hedge his bets on. So
I think you know what? I'll put it out there. I will say it now. I think Janine will weasel her way farther than we think, because she does have those bonds with like the Cassidys and Noels. Are you going to go after Janine first, who doesn't have anybody and now she doesn't have an idol or anything like that? Or are you going to go after Noelle, who's proven to be a social and physical threat? Are you going to go after, the Blue Tribe to trap, separate them up? I think that she actually has.
I don't know.
To go
like
farther.
After tonight, I'm so out on Janine Beck. So like last week, like when Ellie gets blindsided, like Janine gets caught with her pants down at Tribal, her jaw is like on the floor. All of us like went into this week thinking like, okay, this like Ellie, like Janine didn't play her idol on Ellie. Ellie's gone, so like her target can kind of shrink. Like this is like really good for Janine's game. Like Janine was so poised to be in such a better position at the end of this week, right? And she even said that like right when she got back from Tribal. And then just in like a matter of like 2 days, she gives her freaking idol to Dwight for this like little like hinky plan, and then Dwight gets voted out. So like she is now like once again blindsided at Tribal. Like once again she is left out. So like I don't understand how like that didn't raise alarms that like you were left out of the plan. Like you are on like the bottom of the totem pole of information. So like you really should not be trusting to like be letting go of your idol to anybody at this point. And so Dwight gets voted out. So she's now in like a even worse position than last week.
I will say this, 2 things. Number one, I 100% agree with you. I would rather hold on to my idol or whatever and risk James coming after it, because then he has to do it publicly, right? So everybody knows he has it. And in that case, if he gets it, we have to have a plan that's about votes that's going to counteract that as a backup plan. You have to go to Tribal and say, if he takes my thing, what are we doing? If he doesn't take it, what are we doing? And have that plan ahead of time. If you aren't doing that, then you're not going to Tribal prepared. So that's number one. Yeah. Number two has nothing to do with Survivor, but I actually want to correct something that you said, because it is it's Native American Heritage Month. And you said the bottom of the totem pole, which is often a phrase that many of us say, but we actually use it incorrectly. And so totem pole is actually read from top to bottom. So the bottom is actually the most important part of the totem pole. It's the end of the story. So, and the end of the messaging. So when we say you're at the bottom of the totem pole, it actually makes no sense to what a totem pole really is. So I wanted to share that, given that it's Native American Heritage Month.
Bottom of the You're the last link on the human centipede, I guess, as well.
Okay. But all right, thank you for tuning in to my weekly meltdown. God.
I don't know why that was like the first thing that came to my mind, but I'm sorry. Sorry, Janine. Your chin has been through enough this season. All right, so
I did not expect that's where you would go. I wouldn't. Oh gosh.
Have you seen the human centipede?
No, and I don't want to.
It is. I haven't seen the second or third, but the first one it's a lot.
There's more than one?
There's 3 human centipedes.
No.
All right, so trying to awkwardly pivot away from me talking about the human centipede, here is our draft. So, Allison, the real reason that Allison's not here tonight is because, she talked such a big game last week. I'm going into the merge with all 6 of my people still here. And Allison, look at you now. So Dwight is her first casualty on her draft team. So we'll have to see if Allison's now on a downward spiral for the rest of the season, and we're just gonna see Noelle go next, and then Gabler and Owen and Cody and Jesse.
I could see Carla, Sammy, and Cassidy being the final 3 on my team.
Could you, Beth? My fan fiction feminist like plot for the rest of the season is these all like they voted out so many women in a row pre-merge, and now there's too many male egos at the merge, and they're all gonna vote each other out, and the final 3 is gonna be the 3 women left. I would love for that to be the tale of the season.
That would be incredible. Also, Weston Evans in the chat says, popping in to say that was an epic metaphor, Tyler. Don't encourage this. Don't encourage this, Weston.
We should do a watch party of the Human Centipede.
No, I'm not doing that.
That's where I thought you were a horror.
You could do it. I am not a horror fan.
No? Okay.
No, I've watched a couple of like Halloween or like Scream and such, and those don't have people having their mouths sewn to the asshole of the person in front of them.
See, now I'm picturing like how that would work for like Dead by Daylight DLC, like a Human Centipede chapter.
I would never play that game again.
And then what the add-ons would be called and everything. Oh,
imagine trying to fix a gen and it's like all four of you are attached to each other.
You have to like circle around the gen and then like
try running and vaulting over a pallet. My God.
Oh yeah,
It's horrific. We need to end.
I feel like that would be I feel like that would get me my first gold on Reddit if I were to like conceptualize on like the Dead by Daylight subreddit, like a Human Centipede chapter, like what that would look like.
I hope people would see you for the monster that you are.
True. Anything else before we dip out of here?
No, I think this is the worst episode of the season so far, but I think that there's potential for better gameplay moving forward. God, I hope so.
Do you have any thoughts on Ellie going out last week?
Good riddance. She was the biggest disappointment, bar none. I saw somebody who said, we need to stop casting white female therapists on the show, but also don't stop casting white female therapists because they're so unhinged when it comes to
we need to stop falling for it in preseason drafts and stuff like that. Like, I feel like everybody was like, Ellie's going to, but it's so easy to fall for it, right? Like, it's so easy to be like, on paper, you have all the right skills to do well in this game, but it just, it really fumbles.
And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I think Cody is one of the biggest surprises for me this season. I really have enjoyed watching him socially and strategically.
I can see him winning this season.
I could see him winning too.
Yeah.
I think he does have a lot of winner's equity. And even though he's not one of the narrators, I actually think the fact that he isn't one of the narrators is beneficial to him edgic-wise. Normally the narrators are the ones that see themselves out at 7-6-5 in that
maybe
area.
He takes out James next week. Like maybe that's like the little like editing like foreshadowing, because we saw in confessional tonight that Cody recognized that like James knows that I have an idol. So I need to do like as happy as I am that he's coming to me with this information about the knowledge is power twist. That scares me because I have an idol and he knows that I have an idol. So I am like, if he's thinking about using it, that's going to be at my detriment. So maybe I need to do something about that first.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I do think that the threat of the knowledge is power is going to do more for James than actually enacting it, as we saw tonight. Like, he got 2 people on his side for votes. He no longer ended up being the target because of it. And he was able to rally 2 people who have strategic and social prowess to their side and also have an idol. So good stuff happening there. I'm interested to see what happens. And we'll see.
Who ultimately do you think is the winner of the season? Now that we're at the merge, give me one name and one name.
Sammy. I think we check in with him at weird times, and it'll be like, he didn't get too much tonight. So I'm saying that purely based off of other, like last week in particular, was a really good episode for Sammy. Where
yes, I know. Yeah, I agree.
I think he came out smelling like roses to everybody, including Ellie. And I'm like, you know, if the twist had been Ellie's still going to be on the jury.
I love the face that you just made. You're like, even Ellie.
Even Ellie.
I'm just gonna like live in fantasy land here, and I'm gonna say that Carla is the winner, and we're getting our third POC woman in a row winning Survivor. Which is
could you imagine first we have an Asian woman, and then we have
Mhm.
a Black woman, and then we have a
Yeah.
Latinx woman. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it was so
And
good.
playing very different games too, right?
Incredibly
Like,
different games.
Erica's been very under the radar, and like, yes, so is Carla, but I feel like Carla is still moving the pieces a lot more than I'm telling you. Like, if she were to win, I've said this all season long, but like, it just reminds me of like a Sandra Diaz-Juan type of win. As long
She
as it's
needs to
not
prove it a
me.
little bit more to me now because she hasn't done that so much in the jury or in
I
the
think
merge.
it just doesn't like it's not as flashy to us because she's not as like engaging in confessional. I think is like what we're missing from her is that flair. You know what I mean?
It's not so much. Yeah, I know what you mean with that, and I think that that's true. I think what I mean though is that, like for tonight, we didn't even see anything from her really,
Yeah.
versus there was
I-
not an episode where Sandra doesn't have her 2 cents of how she's not going home,
yeah.
whether it's in Pearl Island or Heroes versus Villains.
Yeah.
Even when she's not at all, like if it's Parvati and Russell running everything, we're still checking in with Sandra. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
there's a certain level of her. Yeah, I think of like Sandra was good at creating paranoia. And
Mhm.
I don't feel like we can call Carla a Sandra until I see her do something. That's what I was saying. Like, I want her to plant some seeds. I want her to do something. Instead, she's
Mhm.
playing very like, I don't know if I could trust this person. Let's get them out now.
Maybe she needs like a public enemy. Like that's what Sandra did so well was like
We need a
really have a
villain.
public enemy. Right. But like Sandra was able to say all season long in Pearl Islands, like, we're trying to get rid of Johnny Fairplay. He's the evil one. And then like same with Heroes versus Villains. I gotta get Russell out. The opportunity is closing here at the merge. Candace, what the fuck are you doing?
Game
Uh,
Changers was whoever ate the sugar has to go. Like, I
yeah.
mean, just like, but she's always pinning it on somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like this season is so boring because there's not this like
Yeah.
because I mean, okay, let me
Ellie
take
was the closest thing to a villain, TBH.
100%. She was the closest thing to a villain, so there's that. But I will also say that like on the one hand, I'm so happy we have a likable cast that doesn't seem like there's a lot of happening that's like crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
there's not people who are openly, misogynistic
Right.
or
And you
whatever,
can
right?
be a villain without being problematic
Oh,
too, you
totally.
know?
That's what I'm saying is like I love that the fact that this cast doesn't seem to be problematic, that they're good people, that they're interesting people, but they're just not interesting game players. And I would love to see someone who can stir the pot, make
Yeah.
people question what's reality, like do that. Like, and I understand some of that is hard because you have your hands tied behind your back with some of these advantages and such, but like use the paranoia that everybody has to your advantage, make that your advantage in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
agree. All right.
yeah.
Well, let's Joseph's just like, "Yes, preach." And Stefan's like,
Yes.
"I don't know about that."
I love
I
it.
love it. All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your night. I won't be here next week because I'm shooting my last wedding of the season in Florida.
Woohoo.
So I will
But
be traveling and
also,
stuff.
next week is election day, and some people are able to vote early depending on the states that you're in. So please make sure that you go out there. There we go. Tyler voted today, voted early in New York State. Please make your voice known. And I don't want to come across like I'm pushing my own political thoughts here, but I really, truly would love for you to think which party is protecting people's lives and which
Yeah.
one is actively taking rights away and putting in bills that are hurting people. So please go out. If you were registered to vote and eligible to vote, please vote. The midterm elections are more important than the presidential election. Your legislative branch, your local government, your state government, they have way more power on your individual day-to-day life than the president does. So please vote like your life depends on it, because guess what? It does.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I just needed to
No,
get that.
you're good. You're good. I agree. And you get this cool sticker too. So Oh, and they also had like one of those like kind of like Live Strong bracelets, but it said like I voted early. I was like, wow, this is like I love all
So did
this
you
like
just go to
swag that
a
I'm getting.
normal, like, polling place for that?
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was no line, like maybe like 2 or 3 old people like voting in
I
booths,
love
but
that.
like that was it. Like and I was like, God, this turnout terrifies me. So get out there, vote, make your voice heard, all that jazz.
Especially if you're in New York, we're at a real threat of actually having a Republican governor, just saying, and he does want to ban abortion. So
Yeah.
just putting it out
Oof.
there. And he also wants to pardon Trump.
Oh God. Yeah.
So
We're
Zeldin
the
absolutely could win because apparently New York City is not coming out.
mhm. Yep.
That's the poll.
We're the party that wants to keep the legs open. So keep that in mind when you go to vote. All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your night. Take care. Please vote, and we'll see you next week. Bye.